Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Nick. Now this channel is mainly about retro gaming, although it does occasionally go off on some strange, bizarre tangent. So I'm just going to take a few moments now to talk about a bit of a passion of mine, which is turning into more of a frustration going over these last few years. For what it's worth, some people hate it, some people like it. I've always been a big fan of Formula 1 since my early years, glued to the television set watching it. And my adopted team was McLaren. Only because they had amazing looking cars, white and red. And for my own naivety, I didn't link that to the Marlboro cigarette brand. But basically it was a car designed to look a bit like a cigarette box. But it was a fantastic looking car. They was winning great races, they had charismatic drivers, and that was my adopted team. Now McLaren are based in Woking in Surrey, founded by Bruce McLaren, a New Zealander, in 1963. The current team principal is Ron Dennis. Now, they haven't won for a while. McLaren have great pedigree. They've had 8 Constructors' Championships, first one in 1974 and the latest one in 1998. That's getting on for 20 years. McLaren are a wonderful team. Why have they not won for almost 20 years? Michael Schumacher might have something to do with it, but even so, they should have won at least one. Drivers' Championship's a little bit better. 12 Drivers' Championship. The first one is in 1974 again by Emerson Fittipaldi, the Brazilian. And the last person to win the championship for them was back in 2008, and that was Lewis Hamilton, before he got frustrated with the team, went on to drive a Mercedes, and that seems to have worked out quite well. He's now a triple world champion. World champions they've had are James Hunt in 76, Niki Lauda in 84, Alain Prost 85, 86, 89, the absolutely awesome Ayrton Senna, where I was sort of like getting into watching them, the Senna-Prost era, then Senna-Berger. So Senna won 88, 90 and 91. And it's about that time where Marlboro was not sponsoring McLaren anymore because they were banning cigarette sponsorship, and the cars didn't look quite as sexy anymore in my opinion, and the McLaren went silver. But I still like the team, I still like the car. And so Mika Hakkinen won in 98 and 99, and of course Lewis Hamilton in 08. It's a great frustration of mine because I know McLaren should be up the front of the grid, but we just have seasons of them gradually going backwards. And if you watch the races of last year in 2015, they were right at the back. They was having terrible trouble with their new engine supplier Honda, which was supposed to bring back the glory days, and the car was just underpowered. You get penalised on the grid if you have an engine problem, have to change the engine or a gearbox. So McLaren quite often were at the back of the grid through penalties. And I think they got the world record for the most ever penalties. I think at one point they had over 50 grid positions had to move back, and there's only like 20 odd cars in the race, so they was at the back because there's no further for them to go. I think they would have to put them back about 2 laps or something. It's absolute pain. It's a bit like watching your favourite football team who were good once losing 6-0 and you're watching it all. Extremely painful. Now they keep saying things are in development at McLaren. I surely hope so. This year's drivers were Alonso and Jenson Button, as they were last year. I'm really surprised that Alonso decided to race again after what happened last time. But he's a double world champion, and Jenson Button has won the world championship itself. Now I overheard some people talking a while back saying who's their favourite driver. It's people probably in their early 20s really. So probably got a knowledge of a few seasons, and they're trying to say who's their favourite driver, who's the best driver out there. And one of them mentioned Fernando Alonso was the best driver on the grid, which I sort of agree with. But then someone else came up with a valid point. They said, Alonso, when was the last time he ran a race? I was thinking, I don't know. He should have won the championship about 5 times by now, and at the moment that McLaren car is not quite gonna do it really. Now there's big changes coming in 2017 where the car's been the regulations being radically changed, and it's supposed to bring more mechanical grip because the rear tyres are going to be wider, bigger wings I've written down here. So McLaren should be like developing next season's car, so I don't know how much better this season's one's going to be, but I just want some points really, get on the podium a few times, get things going. We just had the first race of the season in 2016. I don't know if you watched it. If you're not a Formula 1 fan, you probably didn't. But if you're like me, watch all of them. It's more exciting in the rain, to be honest with you. But whatever team you follow, if you're just impartial, you would have watched the Australian race there from Melbourne, I think it is. Qualifying slightly better this time, not at the back of the grid, but by no means threatening anyone. Alonso qualified in 11th place. And Jenson Button in 12th place. Not brilliant. They only got these places because I think Valtteri Bottas in the Williams got penalised for something and moved down, so it gave them 11th and 12th. So I had some hopes for the race, hoping that maybe McLaren could get some points to start off with to get the season going. But unfortunately, Alonso had this absolutely horrific crash. It was on lap 16. It was coming up to pass Gutierrez in the Haas car, and I don't know if Gutierrez broke too early or Alonso just misjudged it. He cribbled right into the back of it and flipped over, and I don't know how. If you see the wreckage of this car, you think, how did anyone walk away from this? And I think that would be disastrous if Alonso was injured or worse, but I'm glad he was okay. So that was that car out, and then Jenson Button just went round. I thought he might end up in 10th place getting points, but the car wasn't quite there. Ended up in 14th place, one lap down. So we have a car crash, then classified 21st, and then Button in 14th place. Just to compare this with that Haas team, which in their first race, Roman Grosjean scored points, and Gutierrez was in that crash there. So didn't even do as well as them. Oh, come on, McLaren. Come on, get back the glory days. Even if you have to paint the car to look like a cigarette box again, you've got two fantastic drivers, Alonso and Button. I remember driving around on Micropro's Formula 1 Grand Prix on the Commodore Amiga for hours and hours, being Ayrton Senna's teammate, and we'd drive around and win championship after championship and nobody could touch us. Well, that's just fantasy. Do you watch Formula 1? Who's your favourite team? Let me know below. Or any other sports team which you support, which did great at some point and now you're just willing them to go back to greatness, but it's taken years and years. Let me know. It could be any sport, not just racing. It could be football or anything really, even American football or Scandinavian dominoes. When are McLaren next going to win a race? That's what I want to know, and that's what everyone wants to know. Do they? Maybe. So thank you for bearing with that. I just had to get that off my chest here. So thanks for watching as always. Until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.